CALEDONIA, a fragment. Being lines suggested by the sound of a pibroch or bagpipe, played at an early hour in a London square by an indigent Scotchman wearing the plaid or national dress of that country. Pacing with bagpipe in a bosky square, one morn a piper rent the vernal air, dispelling by his savage baleful strains that Freudian pageantry which night-time gains. He wore a garb deprived of all amenity save for vile jest and smoking-room obscenity, and hearkening to the pibroch's raucous note, bursting as if from tortured porcine throat, to reverie did errant fancy yield of pinky, Solway moss and Flodden field, and of a race whose thought and word and deed have made a new inferno north of Tweed, where they can practise in that chilly hell vices that sicken and virtues that repel. Did they remain among such unthawed latitudes, and Scot with Scot alone exchanged his platitudes, travellers but few would mark their stinted bonhomie, and smile to see each finicking economy. Alack, they ever stream through England's door, to batten on the rich and grind the poor. With furtive eye and eager clutching hand they passed like locusts through the southern land, and lined their purses with the yellow gold which for each Scotchman London pavements hold, and in return, no matter where you find 'em, they brag of Scotland, now left safe behind 'em. What are this race whose pride so rudely burgeons? Second-rate engineers and obscure surgeons, pedant philosophers and Fleet Street hacks, with every quality the genius lacks. Such mediocrity was ne'er on view, bolstered by tireless Scottish ballyhoo. Nay, in two qualities they stand supreme, their self-advertisement and self-esteem. What of this land of which they love to talk? The sons of Shem ascend its hills to stalk, and men with nasal twang in Harris tweed from the Americas to these succeed. More rich than Croesus, they have crossed the main to slay the grouse and quaff the dry champagne. They seek for salmon in the bonny brae, while Wall Street banks their bonny incomes pay. But orange peel and cigarette end ride on the dank waters of the slimy Clyde, and careful Scots, against a rainy day, wade in and bear these treasures all away. Better a cottage in the English fens than castellated mansions set in glens. The tents of Tartars or the huts of Cossacks than Scotch baronial mansions in the Trossachs. See where our glorious empire's outposts roast on Afric's sand or freeze on Arctic coast, for there a Scotchman, without doubt you'll view, who plagues the Kaffir, irks the mild Hindu, and from whose sight chaste Polynesians go as quick as may be, and the Eskimo grows weary through the endless polar nights of tales of Scottish charm and Scotland's rights, told by some Scotchman who can scarcely stand in some snow hovel north of Baffinland. For Scotchmen from Quebec to Kandahar lay down the law while they prop up the bar. In far-off lands beneath the imperial crown, the bar's propped up, the empire gets let down. Yet England hold the Hottentot in fee, in spite of Mackintosh and McNamee. Cicada's sjambok, backed by English guns, curbs unchaste Caledonia's uncouth sons, though canny rates obtain in Berlin bars when Teuton Venus mates with kilted Mars. The English flag still braves the stormy breeze, in spite of nymphs yclept Marie Louise. And yet the abject Pictish tribes complain that England's loss has not proved Scotland's gain. and with each alcoholic breath he draws, some Scotchman advocates disunion's cause, till whisky fumes alone seem to proclaim the pinchbeck ornaments of Scotland's name, and trumpet through the earth the world's worst news, the gloomy glories of the Scottish muse. Insomnia's fiend can make no Scotchman falter. He has Carlyle at hand, and old Sir Walter, books writ by Scotchmen and for Scotchmen writ, devoid of humour and divorced from wit, well-fitted Caledonians to beguile, in content dull, cacophonous in style, a basin quick, oh me, the stomach turns. The prose of Barry and the verse of Burns, can Scotchmen still, in face of Peter Pan, deem for that a man remains a man? Rather with Buchan's clubmen let us sport, where well-worn cliché apes the role of thought, or trip through tender yarns by Ian Hay with hoyden miss and whimsical R.A. And there's a prospect quails the stoutest heart, the sombre gallery of Scottish art. Soon let us hope the cognoscenti may burn the pink and pasty portraiture of Raeburn, and with the pick and poleaxe rudely hammer on those careful etchings scratched by D.Y. Cameron, having destroyed upon the self-same day many a desert scene by James McBay, while Highland critics will no more do battle, defending Farquharson and Highland cattle. In music's realm, this race, the bitter fact is, presume to teach an art they cannot practice. Their rhapsodies and rondos which abound pollute the air with academic sound, but better their morose pedantic strain than those which to the sterner north pertain, where every puling crofter's lad of 10 aspires to be a Bartok of the glen. Belaboured blackamoor less harshly squeals than Highland lassies dancing Highland reels, and ears go numb when Scottish neuropaths play in Glasgow's town the Gaelic snap or strathspey. But nationalism's slogan sounds at hand throughout this sparsely populated land. Jacobite dreams Mackenzie's looks engender, a new Prince Charlie or an old Pretender. Should ever Scotchman rule again, for famed MacDonald they'll not ask in vain. Fewer such statesmen England might be better for, confused of mind, no less confused of metaphor. And cheerless wreath, unparalleled enormity of Scottish prudery and nonconformity, of all his race scarce one can we desire less, teetotal despot of the ambient wireless. Let all retrace their steps across the border, yes, everyone, from Linklater to Lauder, back to that northern Athens where men seek with Gaelic minds to live a life that's Greek, and home again to presbyteries and manses must flock the simpering tribe of Scottish Nancies, and haunt once more with voices high and squeaky the fetid lanes and byways of old Reekie, and moor and mountain, loch and glade and glen, take back the Picty, fabled painted men. But may sweet William in our garden grow, that call to mind Culloden and Glencoe, and when the night is late and play is hard, the 9 of diamonds prove our lucky card. Against this land of porridge, scones and slate, let us rebuild the wall before too late, to keep forever from our native shore the sottish Scotchman, soaked with usquebaugh, who fills the mind with fantasies of Sard, and prayers for some new Cumberland or Wade. Replace this race with others, all too few, the honest Welshman, or the worthy Jew, the Ethiop, or men from far Cathay, but let the Caledonian stay away. Such were the thoughts begotten then and there by this one Scotchman pacing in the square.